Good evening, Floss Tube. This is Julie with Reflections Framing and Stitching. It is December 26th, and I am back for my 13th video. And as you can see, I drug Dan along for the ride.
Hello, Floss Tubers.
We hope you had a Merry Christmas. We had a pretty good day yesterday. We had Abby and Travis were here. Adam and Marcia and the two girls were here. Dan's parents were here.
My sister.
And his sister. So we had a good day. Lots of nice gifts. And we hope yours was as good as ours was. I'm going to get this started because it could be a somewhat long video. I want to say, first of all, thank you to everyone for your well wishes when I was sick. I did get better by the wedding. Dan is still... He's still not completely better. I don't think he didn't lose his voice like I did, and I don't think his ears were infected, but he got it in his chest, and he's still coughing and hacking.
The nose.
Yeah, and his nose. Although the doctor says that's allergies.
Crap.
We don't believe her. So anyway, thank you for the well wishes on my health and the well wishes for Abby's wedding. That's a couple weeks behind us now, and I don't have any pictures to show you. Abby specifically asked that we not take pictures and get in the way of the photographer, so I'm gonna have to wait until the professional pictures are back. And but it was a beautiful wedding, and it went off pretty much without too many glitches, I think, don't you?
It did.
Yeah.
It was well planned.
Everything was very beautiful. Emma went down she was the flower girl, and she went down the aisle just like she was born to do it. We were a little afraid once the church was full that she'd chicken out, but it was like a model on a runway. She did her thing and went back and sat in the pew and was a good girl the rest of the Mass. So
She was a good girl till 11 o'clock at night.
she was a good girl till 11 o'clock at night. She hung in there. She was a trooper. So that's all I have on the wedding. I think the last time that I was on social media at all, whether it was Floss to Facebook or Instagram, I posted a picture on Instagram of my tree. I had tree envy from watching everybody else post their beautiful Christmas trees on Instagram. I wasn't planning to have a tree this year, but after seeing everybody else's, I was like, I want a tree. So anyway, the story of the tree starts with two balls, which most good stories do. So I will show you the two balls that
Evolution started with two balls.
I suppose it did. Anyway, these are the two balls that the story of my tree started with. They're kind of look like a copper patina, and I bought them a couple years ago. The last year that I had a tree. So I didn't have a tree last year or the year before. So it would have been 3 Christmases ago. And when I saw everyone else's beautiful trees on Instagram and decided that I wanted to put up a tree, I didn't just, of course I couldn't make it easy on myself and use the ornaments that I had used in the past. I decided to start from scratch, and 3 years ago I had bought these two balls, thinking I would go back the next year because they were not an inexpensive ornament, and thinking I would go back the next year and buy some more when hopefully I was a little more flush, but that didn't happen. So this year I decided to run to I bought these at nursery that's just down the street from us. And so I decided to stop and see if they had any. Well, they had 2. So now I had 4 balls.
Little ball. This one's little.
That's a little one. I only have 2 of those. Everybody else was this size or even bigger than that size. So I bought the 2 that she had, and then I got on Amazon and found 17 more, which showed up in big, huge boxes. And there'd be 2 balls in those boxes. Huge box, 2 balls. I got the last 2 balls the day before Christmas, I think. So they kind of dribbled in.
They didn't make it on the tree.
They did not make it on the tree. No, they're right there. Anyway, so for those of you who saw the post on Instagram, you knew we had the light problem. And that's pre-lit trees. This is the problem. Parts of it go out, and then you're stuck with either removing the lights, buying a new tree, or adding more lights to your current tree. We went and looked at new trees. Couldn't find anything we liked. Everything was picked over at that point. Adding more lights, we could have done that, but it just adds more cords and bulk to the tree, and I wasn't really feeling that. So we made the decision to... Did you just point at me? We made the decision to cut all the lights off the tree and start from scratch. I'm here to tell you, go buy a new tree. Do not cut the lights off the tree. It took the 2 of us a good 6 hours to cut all those freaking lights off that tree, and by then our fingers were so sore that we could barely move. There were cuts. The greenery got shoved underneath your fingernails. It was not pleasant. So take my advice and buy a new tree. Even if it's not the tree of your dreams, buy a new tree. So anyway, we did eventually get the tree decorated, and I think it turned out pretty good. You probably can't see too much of it, but it's right there. It turned out good, and then Dan made a star for the top, because these have a rustic vibe. So I wanted a mix of rustic and elegance. So that's my rustic elegant tree. Anyway, I just thought you'd want to hear the story of how we ended up fixing the tree, and I've got a few other ideas that I want to add to it for next year, but it turned out pretty good for a last minute thing that I probably shouldn't have tried to do, but did anyway. Let's see. I'll go to shoutouts next, just so I don't forget to do them, because I usually do. And I want to shout out MelyEllyStitches. She's a new to me floss tuber, just getting back into stitching, which is a shop owner. I can tell you, I really like to hear those words, just getting back into stitching, as opposed to leaving stitching and going to quilting or some other craft. So she shows some of her whips, some of her finishes and future projects. She talks about some of the floss tubers that have inspired her, which I'm sure, Vanna, Priscilla and Chelsea. Who else did she mention? I can't remember. Bendy Stitchy, Michelle. So check her out if you get a chance. And I want to thank Olivia and Elena for the card. They sent me a lovely little card with a little note. I don't know where you find the time to do these things, people, but I sure appreciated receiving the card. Thank you. It was very nice. Oh, and I want to say I loved the outfits you were wearing in your Christmas video. The blinking lights were spot on. And then I had one question on one of my last two videos. I don't remember which one it was, but it was from Lisa Kay. She wanted to know if I carry, and I'm probably going to fracture this, soie d'Alger? D'Alger?
Soie d'Alger.
It's a silk floss. I don't know.
Something of the evening.
Okay. I don't carry it. I have stitched with it once. It's I don't know, it's a nice silk floss. I don't have anything against it. You also inquired about silk mori, and I have never stitched with that, so I don't have an opinion on that one way or the other. So I'm not a whole lot of help. And that takes care of my notes. Do you have anything you want to add to my notes?
Nothing to your notes.
Nothing to my notes. Okay. So I'm just going to put this aside because I don't like referring to my notes. Okay. We're home tonight, as you can see, so I don't have anything to show you that the customers have done, and I don't have anything to show you that's new in the shop. I'm gearing up for inventory this next weekend. So I'm trying not to bring a whole lot new into the store because that just means it's more I have to count. So I thought I would show you some of my Christmas stitching that I have done in the past. Dan wants to update you on his Hawk Run Hollow. And if you remember a few videos back, the last time you were in a video, right?
Only once.
He showed you a project that he'd found at
Brass armadillo.
Brass Armadillo, thank you. A little sewing table. And he's not done with it yet, but he has made some progress, and I think he wants to share that with y'all. And so why don't you go ahead and show your Hawk Run?
Okay, got it right here.
He's got not a lot because we've been working on that combined project that.
Yeah, everybody knows the history, right? We're all doing different
Yep.
versions of this. This is the map of Hawk Run.
Need to scoot a little closer so you're on screen.
The green is what I have done, which is the non-solid stitching. So moving around to the last 4-5 quadrants there, it's pretty much solid stitching until I get up to the top here, but this is all solid. So I've slowed down quite a bit due to my granddaughters coming back into town and the wedding. And are you going to show them the multi-project that we've been working on?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I did help Julie with something here the last couple of weeks that she's going to show you. But this kind of shows the latest progress. Down in the bottom, I think I was just finishing up some of this stuff over here and came down to the lighthouse.
This is pretty. I like this down in here.
The hills.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, it gets pretty much solid coming up and around. So, this is my goal, unless you've got something else planned for me to do.
You never know.
To start on that and try to get back onto 1 square a month, which will put it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 squares. So, let's make a goal for like 6 months to have this done.
Not gonna happen.
Gotta happen.
Not gonna happen.
Okay.
Not gonna
Maybe not.
happen.
It's
Sorry.
a goal. It's a goal.
It's a goal. It's a goal. I
Gotta
don't
have
like to
goals.
make goals because I never meet them.
Well, you're not. If you don't make any, you're not gonna.
I know. Okay, so the O Tannenbaum that I showed you a couple of the pieces that we had done. Not in the last video, but the video before that. We've got all the pieces stitched, and I've got them all stretched, and they're sitting in the box waiting for me to decide what color I want my box, because I think I want it green. but I haven't picked a green yet. So I'll show it to you in the unfinished box. Now Dan stitched the sled, and he stitched the snowflakes in the middle, and he stitched the old Christmas tree block.
But they're backwards. What did I do wrong?
I don't know.
All the lettering is backwards.
Oh dear.
Redo.
I did the house and Santa, and let me tell you, that took me forever. Absolutely forever. Dan didn't want to do it, so I got stuck with it. So he did 3, I did 2, and I'm glad it's done. It's going to be cute when the box gets painted, whatever color it's going to be finished. But anyway, so there's that. That kind of kept him from doing his hawk run.
Mm-hmm.
And it kept me from doing my hawk run too, because Santa took me so long that I haven't, it's the end of December and I have not stitched on hawk run this month at all. And this is supposed to be hawk run month. And it's not going to happen in January.
We have 4 days left.
Yep, but it's not going to happen in January because I have started stitching the retreat project for May, and I got to get that done so I kind of know what I got to buy for everybody. So, no hawk run update from me. Nope. But I did get the framing done on Fractor Flowers. And here they are. Kind of work with the glare here. Oh, what is, oh, oh, how are we going to do this?
Get closer.
That better? There. That's better. I've got 4 mats on this puppy. I did a reverse bevel, which means that the white bevel isn't showing. I've reversed it back. Cut it reverse so that the bevel deliberately doesn't show. And I also put a spacer between the top suede mat. There's 2 suedes. So there's a spacer between this one and this one. And what else can I tell you about this? The fabric is murky. It's 40 count. And I chose my own colors of floss for this one. So I think it turned out pretty good.
The colors are really cool.
The colors they're much more vibrant in person than what's showing on this. Our lighting in the house is really bad. I apologize for that. I actually even put my initials and the date on this one, so
Which he usually doesn't
I don't do. Anyway, I'm glad that one's done. And as long as I'm at home, I have another bird picture I would like to share with you. Here, can you take this one? Thanks. This is from, if I'm remembering correctly, Just Cross Stitch magazine. I don't know what year, I don't know what month. I do know it's a Marie Barber, which I have mentioned before. I really like her designs. It's a bird, again, which is why I thought I would show it to you. I display it in my kitchen, so it's got glass on it. Again, sorry for the, let's see, well, there. This one is stitched on vintage pear. I believe it is 40 count. And I did this one a couple years ago when the magazine first came out. So it's not that old, but I just love the colors in this. It is just stunning. Took this one to the fair. You're going to start hearing me use the word fair because I want to start reminding people that, you know, you've only got, what, probably 7-8 months to get your stuff stitched. So start thinking about what you're going to put in the fair next year. But this one went to the fair. I think it got a second place ribbon on it. So there's that one. Say bye-bye, birdie.
Ironic, because your sister
It
just
is.
got a parrot.
My sister's husband gave her a conure, I think is how it's pronounced. She wanted a puppy, and because mom and dad are living there and their dog is living there, that gives them 3 dogs and they can't have any more. So she could not have a puppy. So her husband got her a bird instead. She didn't really want a bird. But Chris is really happy with it. So, would you like to show your woodworking project next? I'll let him talk for a little while on his project. He's got all kinds of visual aids and good stuff for you to see.
All right, if you don't remember, it's a Martha Washington sewing cabinet, and this is basically the finish we were looking at. This is the top of it, and didn't survive too well. So basically I'm throwing this away and redoing the top.
Okay.
So this is the cabinet with the sides on it that are open, and the sides kind of
Yeah, they go all the way
triangular.
down, and they're kind of, yeah, triangular shape.
kind of vertical drawers. So a little bit of controversy on the colors. Like I said, it was all this color to start. So I decided to kind of my signature ivory white that I do, and then I try to antique it a little bit. Now it needs some more antiquing, it's not done. And then I picked up some blue chalk paint at one of the end, I think it was Brass Armadillo, same place we got it. And then just kind of just painted it, the other parts blue, the brown parts blue, and highlighted. And then I'm trying to come up with some knobs for it. It didn't have any knobs on it, basically. So these are from just Hobby Lobby, kind of a vintage brass colored. I picked up this different one maybe that I might paint up to a brass color just to accent a little bit. But the controversy is they don't like the 3-tone. They don't like the white, the blue, and then the top will be brown. So I want to give you guys just a little bit of lesson on refinishing, because when I went to Menards today to pick up some supplies, I had to give a guy there doing some staining on some woodworking for the first time. So kicked back into my woodworking teaching and gave him a little lesson there at Menards on how to finish. So basically this is what the top will look like when it's all done. And we're not going to get any real good coloring, but this is walnut, a very pretty wood, very expensive wood.
He loves walnut.
I love walnut. I love the smell of it. I love how it works. It's a hardwood.
That beautiful graining.
Beautiful grain. So that looks a little bit different than the original, right? So instead of going out and buying some walnut, at Goodwill, I picked up this, somebody had built a custom walnut case. Looks a little rough, but I knew underneath there was some beautiful walnut. So for $5 I picked up all the walnut that I need. This is original piece of it. It looked like some kind of sewing cabinet. The guy had made her sewing box. And this is all that's left of the box. I've used the rest to make those other pieces. So, like I said, this is what it looks like.
It's kind of more reddish colored in person.
And what I've done here is sanded off the red down to the original wood grain, ready for stain. And this is kind of what the first piece looks like. Stained up with a couple coats of lacquer. It needs a couple more coats of lacquer yet. It's a more brown, brings out the grain, just the beauty of walnut. So a couple more coats of that. It's a process though, because once you get it finished, then this is called wet sanding. You might panic thinking it's going to ruin the finish, but it doesn't. This is just a real fine silicone carbide, and you just sand down that lacquer coat, and then you'll wipe that off and just spray another coat on and build up 3 or 4 layers of lacquer to protect the wood and just make it look real nice. So last time you learned about flocking, this time you learned about staining and sanding.
Are you planning to flock those drawers?
Oh, definitely. Yes.
Good. Good.
Yeah, the drawers have been cleaned up a little bit. All prepped and ready for flocking. So the next time we get an update, hopefully it'll be all finished.
Thank you, Dan, for that lesson.
Thank you for letting me show it.
Okay, back to some of my Christmas stitching. Oh, I'll start with, and I know somebody was showing, or had mentioned, I can't remember who it was I was watching. Who was that? I don't know. It escapes me. Anyway, I was watching someone's floss tube, and they were talking about the Treasures in Needlework magazine that only lasts for 6 issues. I have all 6 issues. I treasure them. I have stitched 1 piece from the magazine. I had every intention of stitching several more, but I've only managed to do 1. And it was from the summer 1993 issue, and it was on the cover. This is called This Year's Tree. And I don't know if it tells me who the designer is on that or not. I'm looking, but I'm not necessarily seeing. Cross-stitch designed by Pamela Johnson, adapted from an illustration by Judith Ann Griffith. There's a boatload of back stitching on this piece. And in fact, I kind of got tired of the back stitching, so I opted, I don't know if you'll be able to see this or not, but on the back of her vest, right here, that's supposed to be all back stitched, and I did not do that. So I didn't think it needed to be there, so I did not do it. I was going to see if there was any other real cool pieces in here. There's an herbs and spices. Some lace making. That was the cool thing about this, is it wasn't just all cross stitch. There's I don't know if that would be considered probably drawn drawn thread pieces. It's an article on Linda Driscoll. Anyway, these magazines, if you can get your hands on them, they were beautifully done. And the projects were gorgeous. So anyway, that's the piece I've done. Oops. And again, it's glassed, so you're gonna get, and that is so you can see her vest does not have that back stitching on the back of it.
Oh, that's pretty.
And it's a beautiful piece. Triple matted, suede again.
Julie Suede.
I like
strikes
my
again.
suede. But yeah, I'm kind of proud of this one because
Like the way
it was not an easy stitch.
the cardinal's flying off the edge.
Mm-hmm.
That's a bigger count than you're used to doing now, though.
Well, this is an even weave. That was before I started stitching on linen. And I know I did the stretching on this one, but this was one of my earlier pieces. I think I've improved
let me take-
since then. Anyway, bring those back to me, would you please? I was just gonna show you the covers of the rest of the treasures and see if there's anything. I was always gonna do that next one. That Santa.
Card hanger.
Not my taste, but kind of cool. Storybook animals.
Oh, I bet you like those.
Yeah, I've always liked those. There's a Dutch sampler. Berlin wool work. Good article on that.
Who originated the Dutch samplers?
I would think that would be the Dutch.
Oh, okay.
Don't quote me on that. Not an expert. This is one I always wanted to do. I'm sure some of you out there have stitched it. I'm looking at some of that back stitching again and thinking, oh my God. Back stitching. It does so much. Like sanding on a woodworking project, it can really make or break it, but damn, I
Nobody wants
don't
to do
enjoy
it.
doing it. These are kind of cool. All red work.
And one blue. And one blue.
Oh, there is one in blue, yeah. But it's also in red. There's an article on linens. What's this one? An English sampler, which is kind of pretty. I can see Lori Mischievous Stitches liking that one.
So if somebody wanted to get these, are they still available, or is it hard to get them?
You have to get them on the secondary market.
Mhm.
So you'd have to go on eBay or Etsy or Stash Unload and ask around. But you can still find them. Okay, moving on. This was actually the premiere issue with that beautiful vase of flowers, which I always intended to stitch also and haven't.
1993.
Yes, these are a little old. Little old. Not necessarily bad though. Old is not bad. I'm just trying to look real close, see if there's anything else. Home Sweet Home, just kind of cool. There's some cottage comforts. This table is shaky. Oh, the Pageant Kings. Whoever it was talking about doing this one, and I always wanted to do that too. It is a stunning piece. Isn't that beautiful?
I'm kind of stunned.
But again, I'm...
Didn't you do, is that an ornament? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that, they've taken... Have they taken... Yeah, they've taken the little camels from the top and made ornaments out of them. But look at the back stitching on that. It's even worse than the little girl.
Some people like it.
I know some people don't mind back stitching. I, however, am not one of them. This is the spring 1993 issue, talking about Battenberg lace. Got an article on quilts. Am I keeping you up?
Sorry, don't know where that came from.
Some floral designs in this one, lace. This one I always thought was pretty. It's an American sampler. Always wanted to stitch that one also.
All right, where do you find that fabric? I've never seen a fabric that color.
What color?
Oh, that's the frame.
That's the frame,
Okay.
I think.
I don't know.
No, I don't know either.
I think they may have wrapped the frame in a fabric.
That's a possibility. That is a skill set I do not have, though. Antique Samplers, a designer's collection. Good article on different samplers. Patterns for these are not in here, but it's a good article. I'm still lusting after the sampler that has been at market the last 2 years. And I really, really, really want it, but I really, really can't afford it because it started out at $2,400.
Oh, ouch. Something just,
And then it was dropped down to, I don't know, $1,800 last year. I'm hoping for lower this year. She said that was the lowest it would ever go, so.
what year was that?
What year was what?
That stitching.
What do you mean?
How old is it?
From the 1800s. And I want it badly. It would look good. Here's some more storybook animals. What you got over there, dear?
Oh, if we have time, this is my one of my stash things.
Oh,
You
okay.
brought that.
Spanish sampler. I really wish this magazine had lasted longer than 6 issues because there's
Well,
beautiful
back
things in
page
it.
has a nice.
Hmm?
That back page has a nice picture too. Well, that's not a stitch.
That's not a stitch. It's the lady. You perv. Medieval Nativity is beautiful. Some birds.
Cardinals.
I don't think they're cardinals. Winter songbirds. There is a cardinal, yes. Excuse me, my ignorance. Those are really pretty. Dan has a thing for cardinals recently. I usually get blue wrapping paper on all my gifts, and this year it was cardinal wrapping paper. Which I quite enjoyed, because I'm not really a blue person, but I did like the... And he put ribbons and bells, and he got fancy. Did you get any ribbons on your packages?
Marcia had one.
Julie did not have one. So anyway, those are the 6 issues. If you can get your hands on them, you probably should, because there's some good stuff in there. I will, let's see, continue with my stitching. And I should have looked up who the designer is on this one. I don't know if it's Bent Creek or Waxing Moon or one of them, but it's Dear Santa, Define Good. I always like to have the rules and regulations just, outlined, so that I can fall under the heading of good, even if it's just barely skimming by. I stitched this one on some sort of Jobelin, but I don't know the color because this is old. It's got a fillet on the inside of the frame, but I've always liked this piece.
It's simple.
It goes along with my there's a Lizzie Kate one that I have. I can't remember it right now because I'm trying to remember it, and so it's escaped me, but yeah, I can't remember it. And then this is a Just Nan. It's called Snow Business, I believe, and it's an older one, years ago. Love those little snowmen.
That's a true snowflake, right?
That is a true snowflake. I used to have quite the collection of snowmen patterns, and then I figured out that I really hate stitching with white, so I got rid of all of them. Now I cringe whenever I have to stitch with white. The last one I'm going to show you for this evening is one that I stitched for my mom.
Jesus.
Huh?
It's not Jesus.
It's not Jesus.
Huh.
I did not stitch Jesus. I just reframed Jesus. But anyway, it was one I stitched for my mother. I don't usually stitch for other people because only stitchers really realize all the work that goes into stitching. But this piece I did stitch for her, and I gave it to her a few years back. It was a Dimensions Gold kit. I don't know the name of it. Lots of back stitching in this one too.
Looks like a picture.
Hmm?
Looks like a picture.
It does look like a picture.
That's awesome.
It's a pretty one.
How long did that take you?
I don't know how long that took me. That was back in the days when I only stitched one thing at a time, so it didn't take me as long as, Fractal Flowers took 9 months, and it was much less detailed than that piece. So, do you have something else you wish to share with them?
Yeah, I think you brought this back to me from market, didn't you?
I did bring it back
Yes.
from market.
I like this one here. We have some red-tailed hawks that fly around here, and that's what that is. And I like the other one too, but I like this one. So this is a potential for me, a nice man stitch there. Very pretty. You got any ideas for the fabric?
No, what's it call for? That's kind of a boring fabric to me. I think I want a little movement in it somewhere. But let's see. Dum, dum, dum. It does not say anywhere on here.
On 8 o'clock is what they use.
Yeah, but color. I was looking for a color, and I'm not seeing a color. So we'll just pick our own.
All right.
It'll be good. It's awful pretty though. For a hawk.
Very,
It is very manly.
well, he's very,
Mean looking. Regal?
Regal
Regal.
looking, yes.
How's that? Regal. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
for later showings, hopefully.
Late. Yeah. There was something else I was going to mention. What was it?
Was it in your notes?
No, because I got rid of my notes. I read everything on my notes. I know what it was. There was several questions or comments, more comments from people about the number of people at the wedding. And I had said 600, and I was wrong. They served 520 at the reception. So
There was 70 at the rehearsal dinner.
yeah, there were 70 people at the rehearsal dinner, but at the reception there was 520 served. I know quite a few of the Omaha people left early after finding out there'd be this 3.5 hour gap where you could eat popcorn and listen to polka music. Not that there's anything wrong with polka music, but 3.5 hours of it is a bit much.
Yeah, I would concur.
But yeah, it was so not quite 600, only 520. What are you looking at?
I don't know if you can show that.
Well, they probably. This is before the reception. Was this the night before? I think.
Yeah.
This was the night before, but that's all the table. Well, not all the tables. There's some that aren't in this picture, but
And the head table up there.
just gives you, and this back in here is the head table. But I'll try and share pictures once I get better ones from the professional photographers.
And there was a drone there, so we
There was
have
a
aerial
drone.
pictures.
There was a drone. She last minute. She wasn't going to have a video, but last minute, family friend is starting a photography business, and her brother is going to be doing the videos. So he did a video for them. It was his first one, and I think for his first video, it was pretty good. Abby's happy with it anyway, and that's what counts. And I don't know that I have anything else to share at this point. I just wanted to wish everyone, or hope everyone had a good Christmas, and wish everyone a happy New Year, and a safe New Year. And with that, I think we'll call it a night. I've got some stitching I want to try and get done. Like I said, I'm gearing up for retreat, which happens in May, and I got to start getting things ordered for that. So in order to do that, I need to finalize the design and get it stitched, so I know everything that I need to have, floss wise and fabric wise, and so that'll keep me busy. So Hawk Run is probably not going to happen for another month or so. Just so many stitches and so little time. Anyway, thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for hanging in there with me in between the long absences. And I will see you next time. Take care until then.
Happy New Year. Be safe, everybody.
Bye-bye.